Hello, good evening. I just realized I didn't set up my scenes yet, but never mind. And welcome to this edition of Ask Andrew Anything. Let me set. Okay, we've got. And as usual, I show up every Wednesday to answer your questions on email marketing. And my name is Andrew, and my role is to help businesses do email marketing. I'll talk to you more about this. Let me share the screen. Okay, now you get to see how I do this. There you go. I don't like this. I'm going to change this. There you go. How cool is that? Okay, so I help businesses build deeper relationships with their prospects and also their customers through the medium of email. You can do two things. You can do B2B outreach if you're in a B2B business, or if you do consumer business, then generally it will be inbound marketing, which means people giving you permission for you to email them. So that is generally the two areas that you can use for email marketing. John, hi. Ja, hi, good evening. Ja is from Bangkok, all the way from Bangkok. Thank you so much for attending. So let's proceed. The first questions of today or tonight is from Sarah C. And she's asking, what's Google Postmaster? Interesting question. So let's do a quick screen share, and I'll show you. So this is what you call a Gmail Google Postmaster. Now, when you send emails to your customers or you send email to your list, they are generally three major email providers: Gmail, Microsoft, which is covering Outlook, Hotmail, and the rest, and then you have Yahoo. The good thing about Google is they provide a facility which is free, which is called Google Postmaster, that will allow you to look at, the when you send emails to the Gmail users, how is Gmail treating or how is Gmail looking at you as an email sender, right? So the good thing about this is it's free and you can easily sign up. If you have a domain and you're sending emails out, you can actually do that. I'll show you now what are the items that is inside a Google Postmaster. So the domain is called gmail.com/postmaster. Like I say, it is a tool for you to analyze, for you as an email marketer to analyze how Gmail is treating you or how Gmail looks at you as a sender. So let's get started. When you sign in, take some time. There you go. Now you notice I've registered a few domains. I have a few domains and it's part of my work because I do deal with emails. I want to show you the main domain that I generally use. So I've registered this. And if I want to click on this one, take some time to run. Okay. So now you have a dashboard of how my Gmail email clients, for example, email recipients, for example, how Gmail actually looks at the email that I sent. So there are a few things that you can check. You can check for spam rate. You can check for IP reputation, domain reputation, feedback loop, authentication, encryption, and finally delivery errors. I'll quickly run through the some of the features. And at the same time, you can go from the last 7 days or all the way to 120 days. So for purpose of demo, I'm going to just show you, an overall view of 120 days. Now, if I want to start with spam rate, which means I want to know how is my Gmail members or Gmail list, are they reporting my emails as spam? Okay, so over a period of 120 days, you'll notice here there is zero good thing. There is zero report of spam, right? And you notice that's the data from here for the last 120 days. So if you want to know whether has any of your reports, because when they report spam, they have two ways of reporting spam. One is on the email itself where they either unsubscribe, right? Or the other way, generally, if they unsubscribe, you will know. But if they go and report it from their Gmail interface, very likely that you won't know. Okay, so those are the areas. So when you see from here, you will know then from Gmail users whether they actually report spam on their email clients. Okay, so that's one. Next thing is IP reputation. Now, this is not so relevant for most of us, probably 95% of us, primarily because we send emails through ESPs, which is your MailChimps, your ActiveCampaign, or your MailerLite. So the IP comes from this ESP or email service providers. If you are large volume email senders, for example, if you are a software as a service provider, you have your own mail server, or for that matter, you buy a block of IP address that you own or you rent that you can then send using this IP, then you will be able to see this IP reputation. But if for us, like me, even me, I send my emails through MailerLite, for example, this information, or for this, I would not be able to get this information because it's a MailerLite IPs that I'm using. Okay, so we will skip this. What you want to know is your domain reputation. Now, this one is important. There are three things. Remember, we talk about the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. So what you want to see is whether, or in this case, or that's authentication. So in this case, is Gmail considering your domain as good, bad, poor, or high, right? So in this case, thankfully, ends.digital is, as far as Gmail is concerned, the domain reputation is high, right? So whenever it drops, for example, if a lot of people start reporting spam, or a lot of my emails that I send gets into the let's get bounced, for example, then it will affect your domain reputation. So these are the things you want to look for. First, you want to look at spam rate. Second thing, you want to look at your domain reputation. How is your reputation with regards to, or in respect to Gmail? Okay. The other one that you won't need is feedback loop. Feedback loop, similarly for IPs, for example, if you have this one, because I've been running it for close to 2 years, I probably have this. But generally speaking, if you are doing large volume senders, then you need to have a code that you embed on the header of your emails. In this case, I can't do it. I don't know why I'm still seeing this data, but primarily speaking, probably comes from MailerLite. But if you do large volume, then feedback loop is important because you want to know which email campaign is getting reported spam, which email campaign has issues in terms of deliverability and all those things. So there is that little ping that Google or Gmail embeds so that you know the Gmail in as far as Gmail ecosystem is concerned, how is the reputation of your emails that's going through and forth. Okay, so that's this. Authentication, just I'll talk about SPM, DKIM. So you want to know if all these three or all these two authentication are aligned. Now you notice here, in this case, in January, early part of this year, I was playing around with my domains. The DKIM success rate is 100%. The DMARC success rate is 100%, but my SPF is 0. So that was issue. There were some issues with the SPF, which I fiddled with it and I forgot to change it. And that's what I did. So when I realized it, then once I fix it, then over time, what you want to see is all these three lines, which is your DKIM, SPF, and DMARC, is at the top here. So if you look at here, you will see in the early part of December, it was 0. And when I fix it on January the 3rd, probably I woke up by then you will see 100% across each of the three critical or fundamental authentications that you need to get set. So these are the important things you can see over a period of 120 days. Good. Encryption, this is not so important. It is the type of emails. Do you inbound and outbound? Are you sending emails and are they encrypted and all those things? But generally speaking, once you set this with your ESPs, this should be fine. It's not an issue. And delivery errors. Now, this is something that is interesting. You want to know when you send emails, are they received by Gmail? Are there any issues which Gmails will block it? So you want to see, in this case, there was no, well, good thing, there was no delivery error rate. Everything is set to 0, so that's fine. So this is how you want to see your performance of your emails with regards to those that you send, those who registered as Gmail or Google Mail, for example, and that would give you an idea, at least, well, Gmail, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was still 60% of the population or general users actually use that. So it is important for you to sign up for this. It's free. And how can you do that? So let's go back here. 3-step process, very simple. Once you go to Google Postmaster, you can see this little plus button. You then enter your domain here. All right. So, for example, any new domains that I have. Let's see. So let's say I do this, and then I go to the next step. So step one. Step number two. Okay, because this is already tied to main domain, automatically add on it. But if not, then let's try another one. Let's try. I'm just doing a XYZ, I think. I'm just doing a fictitious one. So generally, let's say this is yours, masteryemail.xyz. And now all you need to do is to add this text record into your domain system or your DNS. So once you do this, Google will be able to verify in your DNS that this code is there. Then automatically you'll be added into your Postmaster tool. And then you click on verify. They will do the check, which is probably within half an hour or so. You'll be able to add it into your Postmaster tool. And from there, you got to give some time because you have to consistently send emails for it to track. Generally speaking, at least about a month. If you send maybe 2 times or 3 times a month, after a month, you'll probably be able to see this. So Postmaster is free and it is absolutely, well, I won't say it's necessary, but it'd be nice for you to know your performance vis-a-vis Gmail and whether Gmail likes you or likes your domain or not. Sarah, I hope I've answered that. Okay, one more thing is you will ask, how about Microsoft and Yahoo? Now, from what I've seen, in terms of Microsoft, there's a service. It's called Microsoft Smart Network Data Services, SNDS. But for Microsoft, they would, at the moment, okay, it's a similar Postmaster, but it relates to Microsoft services. Microsoft only accepts those which you have fixed IPs or IP range, which means if you're large volume senders, you will be able to make use of Microsoft Postmaster tool, which is similar to Google Postmaster. But if you send like me through, let's say, ESPs, then we will not be able to use it. So for now, until things improve, you only have the Gmail services that you can track. But that's good enough. Like I say, it's probably like 60% of the email population uses Gmail. So that would give you a very fair picture of the performance of your email marketing. Okay, Sarah? That's that. Let's move on. So if you like this and you want to ask me questions, go to this site, ants.digital /ask. Or if you have a phone, you can then scan the QR code, which is on the page itself. That will lead you to a simple Google form. And this form, you just fill in your email address and then fire off your question. As simple as that. It's free, and I show up every Wednesday at this hour to answer your questions. So if you submit now or submit anytime in between, you'll be able to get your questions answered next week on Wednesday. Okay. If you want to follow me on socials, just go to LinkedIn. I'm almost 100% on LinkedIn now. And because the other platforms, generally speaking, because my audiences or my prospects mostly hang out on LinkedIn. So that's where I am. Okay. So if you like to get a update or you would like to connect with me, go to LinkedIn and go to ants.digital /LinkedIn or scan the QR code as usual if you have a phone with you. And you can then connect with me and you get updates whenever I post into on LinkedIn, on the socials. That's where I am. Yes, Jia, thank you. You're most welcome. Moving on, this is the next question from Hamid. And Hamid is asking, can I use ESP or email service providers like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, or MailerLite to send cold emails? The answer is no. One, because the ESPs are designed or ESPs are created or they provide the service for you to send emails to people who have given you permission. That's why most of the ESPs will tell you to, do double opt-ins, for example. They just want to make sure, because you're using their infrastructure, remember, you're sending through their IP addresses. So if you're sending cold email, the percentage of people reporting spam would be higher than the percentage of people who actually given you permission to send. Because one, when you send cold email, you're sending to people that don't even know you, don't even know that you exist. And if you do it right, Yes, you will get response. And if you do it wrong, then definitely people will report spam. Okay. So that's why ESPs do not encourage, and even if they find out eventually, either through the amount of spam report is very high, the amount of bounce rate because you don't know whether the email exists or not, and you're using a list, for example, to send out, they will know from there because then what they will do is they will either block your account or refuse to provide services to you. Simple as that. Okay, so Hamid, if you have an intention of doing cold emails, do not use ESPs. ESPs are only designed for you to send to people who have given you permission to send emails. For cold emails, there are other tools. Okay, let me see what else do I have. Okay, since we're here and we got a few more minutes. So for cold emails, the infrastructure or the way it's being done is this. You will still have a system or either a CRM kind of system where you have a list of all your prospects or your lead lists. And this tool itself works similarly to ESP in the sense that you can manage the list, you can manage the schedule of the email send and all those things. The difference is these ESPs or these services do not send an email. You would then forward it to accounts that you register, Outlook, right? Accounts that you register, for example, let's say I create a new domain called ensdigital.biz, for example, and use this to send emails. Then what I do is if I want to send emails to this list, I would then run it through this to manage. Oops. And then from there, they would then send through Gmail. So as far as the recipient is concerned, they are not receiving emails from this. Some of the providers include Mailshake. You have, I think, AutoClose. These are the tools, Hamid, that you use if you want to send cold emails. Okay. So as far as a recipient is concerned, when they receive this email, it is coming from your Gmail account. So that's why it is important. For example, let's say now my main business domain is called ends.digital. Okay. I will not use this. Remember, when you're sending cold email, the percentage of people either reporting spam, especially if you do it wrong, or especially if you do not personalize these emails, then people will report spam, okay? Because you are not invited. So if your value proposition is not strong enough, and either or your content is so spammy, for example, they don't know. They will report you. So you do not use your main business domain. You then create a few more, right? Similar to your business, for example, ensdigital.net or whatever it is, and you use this with the own standalone email sending account for you to send to your cold email list. So whatever it is, if this is, eventually the reputation is bad, because here you would have lower reputation, obviously, okay, because your bounce rate is high, your spam rate is high. Whereas this is your business address, you want to make sure, and if you can track using Google Postmasters, for example, that your domain reputation remains high. That is super, super important. Otherwise, your business emails will also end up in spam. That's why it's not recommended that you use your core domain for you to do cold emails. Create a few more domains like this, similar to your business. You can point it back to your main. If they want to do a check, for example, to say that, who's this ensdigital.biz, for example, you can point it to your main website, that's fine. But for sending emails, use a different set of domains. And whether you like it or not, some of them, they will call it as burner domains. The idea is because if it's not used, then you can discard it and then create new ones, but it doesn't affect your core business. So, Hamid, these are the tools to summarize. Never use traditional ESPs to send cold emails because you could end up being banned. You still retain your first data, but just that you can't use that service anymore. So you're going to migrate out of from MailChimp to MailerLite or from MailerLite to ActiveCampaign. Number two, if you want to use or if you want to do cold email, these are the two more famous tools, if I can say that. One is called Mailshake, And the other one is called auto close. But if you do a search on cold email tools, you see there will be a gazillion services that is available. So pick either one of them. Do your research, and then you can actually use that. And then number 3, use new domains. There is not domains that you don't use for your core business. You can use this to send. And obviously, once you have this new domain, you have to go through a warm-up process. The idea is to make sure that your reputation, to build up your reputation of this domain to at least medium to high. That way, when you start sending real emails out, as far as a Gmail or Microsoft or Outlook, for example, they will then say that, okay, this has some records or this has some history. They are considered good. I will give them a chance. And if a lot of people report spam, then I will ban them, or I will just make sure that any emails coming from this domain will automatically go to spam. So these are generally the 4 things that you need to do if you want to start your cold email. It is a bit complicated for first one. For first run, if you're doing it for first time, there are a lot of moving parts. You're finding your data for your list, cleaning your list, for example, writing the emails that is personalized to each recipient. Those are the steps that you need to do when you want to do a proper cold email. Talking about that, if you want to, and you are in B2B, and this is strictly for B2B primarily because I think I've addressed this last week. B2B and consumers, B2B, the information generally are publicly available and they're open for business anyways. So it is okay for them to receive emails. Whereas for consumers, those are private emails or private Gmails, for example, like yours and mine, for example. Those are the ones that you want to respect their privacy and you do not want to do that, because if you send cold emails to these consumers, it's considered spam. Whichever way you cut it, it is considered spam. Whereas for business, if you do it right, then it's a very cool tool that you can use to outreach to new prospects or new leads. Knowing that if you're in B2B and you want to speed up this process, I have this done for you services. It is called B2B Sniper Leads. Let me move this aside here. Oh, there you go. Go to b2bsniperleads.com. It's a done for you service where I help you reach out to 1,000 leads within 14 days or less. The cool thing is this: you will never be able to achieve that unless you have a bank of business development people calling, or either a large group of telemarketers to reach out to 1,000 leads, to introduce yourself, to get them to see whether they're interested to talk to you or not. Within 14 days, it is only possible when you use a tool or when you use cold email outreach. And I can help you with that. It's lead prospecting done at scale. You can do 1,000, 2,000, depending on your size, but it's hyper-targeted. It is not sending to a list of people that's not relevant to your service. So you got to go through the research, find out, and I will help you go through the research to find the right audience based on your business so that we can reach the people that matters. Okay? So with that, that's all for this week. If you have questions, once again, go to this site. It is ans.digital/ask. You can submit any questions that you want related to email marketing, and I promise you I'll do my very best to answer your questions. And every Wednesday, live at 9 p.m. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you, Ja. And I'll see you again next Wednesday, same time, 9 p.m. GMT +8. Andrew Wong, signing off. Have a good evening. Cheers.